I have a 5-year-old child from a previous relationship. My 5-year-old daughter, Lily, is from my first long-term relationship during college. We separated shortly after her birth because my then partner admitted to being unfaithful and not being ready to start a family. My daughter adores my wife. They are inseparable. My ex-partner has little involvement with my daughter or me, except for causing occasional drama. She opted out of custody and visitation, making my wife effectively her mother. My wife is nearly 8 months pregnant. She has excluded me throughout the pregnancy and denies that there's any issue. I feel completely ignored and hurt. When we first found out she was pregnant, she told me while I was making breakfast. Naturally, I was thrilled. However, since it was an unplanned pregnancy, I asked how she was feeling initially. She began smiling and crying, expressing how excited she was. I picked her up, gave her countless kisses, and told her I was also excited to have a baby and that she would make a wonderful mother. Everything seemed fine. She went all out to announce the news to everyone else with balloons, boxes, t-shirts, and mugs that said "Best Big Sister." I assumed the casual announcement with me was because she wanted to hear my thoughts on expanding our family before celebrating. However, when her sister asked how I liked my gift box, my wife quickly said, "He didn't get one. This isn't his first time." It was difficult to convince her to let me attend the ultrasound appointments. She didn't want me to miss work and didn't want to disrupt Lily's routine, offering excuse after excuse. When it came time to listen to the heartbeat, my wife immediately started crying happy tears. The technician was telling her how strong the heartbeat was and how precious our little one was. Feeling emotional, I cleared my throat to prevent tears. The technician said, "Doesn't that sound beautiful, Dad?" My wife quickly remarked, "This isn't his first child. It's not that special for him." I quickly replied that this was one of the most important moments of my life and that I couldn't think of anything more special. The atmosphere became awkward after that. Another thing that bothered me was when I heard Lily and my wife's mother laughing in the living area while I was in the kitchen making dinner. When I walked in and asked what they were laughing about, Lily was touching my wife's stomach and was excitedly laughing because the baby was moving and she thought it was cute. My wife let my daughter and mother-in-law feel the baby move before me. I was hurt but simply expressed how happy I was. That evening, my wife playfully poked her belly and laughed. I asked her if I could feel it too, and she said, "You felt Lily move as a baby. What could be better than that? She was the cutest baby. She has felt quite unwell throughout her pregnancy but refuses to let me help her. When I bring a snack and drink, she hands them to our daughter. When I attempt to rub her feet or legs, she asks me to play with our daughter so she doesn't feel neglected or replaced. I never ignore my daughter. We have our bonding time. I'm an active parent, but I also want to care for my wife. She can hardly eat, but when I asked her what I could prepare for her, it was whatever Lily wants. We went to the zoo with Lily, and my wife started feeling unwell. She had cramps and was considering going to the hospital because of severe nausea and dizziness. I carried her to a nearby bench, and she began to cry, saying she couldn't even stand up. I told her I would call an ambulance or carry her to the car and drive her. She said she didn't want to ruin Lily's trip, and we hadn't even made it to the aviary, which is Lily's favorite part. I said I wasn't leaving, even when she asked me to continue going through the zoo with Lily. We waited until her father arrived. She didn't even tell me he was coming, and he took her to the doctor. I was surprised and followed them with Lily. When we arrived, Lily was upset about missing the aviary and was pouting. At that point, the health of my wife and unborn child were my main concerns. I didn't care that Lily was upset. My wife was furious that I made Lily miss out. Another example. We were watching Lily participate in a local kids' sport. I asked her, "Do you think our child will be athletic, artistic, enjoy science or math?" She said, "This is Lily's moment. We shouldn't focus on someone who isn't present." Lily was on the field. We were sitting in the stands. We waved, held up a sign, and did everything we could. I just wanted to discuss our baby. Whenever her bump was visible, she eagerly showed it to anyone interested. Her family, friends, or siblings. "Do you want to see my bump? I'm thrilled and can't believe there are just X weeks left." They would touch her bump and talk to it. Her parents would come and read or tell back in the day stories. When they went to the beach, 1,000 bump pictures were posted on her friends' social media accounts. Eager to be an honorary aunt, her sister, wife, epitomizes bump and beauty. If we went out together, she wore the loosest clothes so I wouldn't see it. I even noticed her pulling her shirt down when she saw me come into the room. She sat on me the other day after we had some playful moments in private. Her baby bump was directly in front of me. I ran my hands over it and said, "You are the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. You're already an amazing mom to Lily, and I can't wait to see you with our growing family." This was one of the first times I could really feel her baby bump, so I rested my hand on it and said, "I love you so much already, and I'm so excited to meet you. I hope you have your mom's eyes." She got off of me and said, "I know your ex-partner had a bigger bump than mine. I bet it was fun seeing Lily move all the time. You don't have to pretend you care. I know you've done this before." I told her I don't see it that way. Lily is special, but this is a completely new and unique experience because it's with you, and our baby is someone entirely new and special. She started to leave the room, and I could see her shoulders shaking as she cried. I am absolutely certain she is not cheating and has never cheated. I just can't understand why she doesn't want me to be happy about this. Everything is completely normal, as long as I don't mention the baby. She is affectionate, initiates intimacy, and talks about what a good husband I am and how great I've made this pregnancy. We plan our future, enjoy date nights, and do everything together. Unfortunately, we had an argument where I lost my temper. I had a break between clients at work, so I went to a local baby store and bought a lot of things she had planned for the baby and nursery from her Pinterest board. I surprised her at home with flowers, a prenatal massage gift certificate, her favorite food, and baby supplies. She seemed very grateful, But when I got home after going back to work again, the items were no longer there. She said she returned them to buy things for Lily because she was going to feel left out. I lost it. For the first time in our marriage, I cried and shouted that having a child with her was my biggest mistake, and that my unreliable ex at least gave me a chance to know my unborn child. I said I didn't care about the baby because she wouldn't even let me bond with it. I told her I hoped she was as miserable as she made me, and that she should be ready for a custody battle. She calmly said, "I know you don't care about the baby, but I'll die before you take my baby from me." What? I have pleaded for permission to engage with our baby. I asked if her therapist had any insight into why she was acting this way, and she said no, that she isn't doing anything wrong. I told her what I said before, and she replied that, since I've had those experiences already, it shouldn't matter to me. I asked her if the baby was mine. She threw her phone at me and said, "Yes, go through it. I'll take a paternity test, whatever you need." I just called her parents and asked them to go to our house because we were having a disagreement, and I went to a hotel. I don't want to stress her or our unborn child, and I really want to fix this, but I truly don't know how. I'm staying at an Airbnb for now until we can figure this out, but I honestly don't know what to do. I miss her terribly, and I can't even begin to understand why she's acting this way. I've apologized for what I said, but I can't take it back, and I'm worried that when our baby is born, she won't want to be a family with me or let me be involved with our baby. I spoke with a mutual friend who says she is very upset and says she can't be a single mom and loves me, but her actions keep proving the opposite, even when I beg for change. Another Redditor comments, "Why did you say those things?" OOP replies, "I said those things because I wanted to hurt her like she has been hurting me. It's as simple as that. I regret it. I've apologized. She has told me time and time again that I shouldn't care, and I told her whatever I thought would hurt her. It was a childish and immature reaction, and I hadn't intended to say any of that." Another Reddit user comments, "Yeah, I can understand why you're angry." Has she provided any explanation for her comments? Resentment is a strange thing. She may not have even realized she had it until she became pregnant. But I do think that if she had been feeling that way, she should have talked to either you or her therapist about it. OOP replies, "Nothing. I've pleaded for her to discuss it with me and suggested couples counseling. Her response was to cry and ask if I was unhappy in our marriage. I said no. I wish to be more involved with you and the pregnancy. You've left me in the dark." I asked if she was unhappy. Did she want a divorce? Did she decide she doesn't want this baby? She shed more tears and appeared genuinely hurt that I would think that. It makes no sense to me. Apparently I should remain on the sidelines. A Reddit user comments, "Is it possible she's feeling bitter towards your 5-year-old? How is your relationship with Lily's mother?" OOP replies, "I really don't think she holds any resentment. She absolutely adores my 5-year-old, and I believe she's probably the favorite parent. She takes her to the park, museums, mommy and me painting classes, consistently shows up at school, cares for her when she's sick, and plans our vacations around my 5-year-old's interests. Her cousin once mentioned not bringing her stepdaughter, and my wife was extremely upset and said we don't use titles here that make us feel like we aren't one family. She said, she is my daughter, nothing less, and will not be excluded. When she was first pregnant, we took a short trip to visit some of her family, and she cried every day because she missed Lily. She's in therapy and has been since we met for anxiety and depression, but it clearly isn't helping. I've mentioned the possibility of prenatal depression at her doctor's appointment, but she doesn't really show signs, as she's overjoyed unless I specifically bring up the baby. It's definitely something I worry about. I know Lily would be devastated. My wife has already mentioned wanting her mom in the delivery room since I've already seen my child being born. She thinks it would only embarrass her if I'm in the room this time. A Reddit user comments, "You both need couples therapy immediately. You should have begun after her first or second comment. You've known for months that things weren't right. Also, contact her obstetrician and explain what's going on. Ask them to document her change in behavior and emphasize that she's never acted this way before getting pregnant." OOP says, "I should have. I foolishly thought it was just hormones and other pregnancy-related issues. She was sick for most of her pregnancy, lost weight during much of it, was constantly hungry but couldn't eat, and became very self-conscious about her body. She's doing much better now, at a healthy weight, and I genuinely thought things would improve. Looking back, it's clear that those early comments were much deeper than I realized." A Reddit user said, "Why did you say all that? She was acting really strange, but you really messed up. That's some terrible, possibly unforgivable stuff you just said. You appeared to be a decent person." OOP replies, "I am an idiot. I did mess up, and I've apologized, though it doesn't mean much to her at this point. I said whatever I could to hurt her. It was months of resentment building up, months of begging her to tell me what's going on, to let me in, to let me help pick baby names with her. I hope we can fix things, as I want to be there for her, and be a full-time father to my child. The thought of dividing custody time is heartbreaking to me." OOP clarifies his relationship with Lily, and the zoo incident. He said, "I absolutely didn't care that we missed the aviary. We go to the zoo regularly, and I promised we would return. When your pregnant wife is so sick that she starts crying that her legs don't work, she can't walk, and she thinks she might die due to severe abdominal cramps, you're not worried about missing the aviary. I didn't tell my child I didn't care. I told my wife in the hospital that her health and our unborn child's health were more important than birds and that Lily could be upset until we knew she and our baby were okay. We do everything for Lily. Lily and I have bonding time both with and without my wife. Together we enjoy fishing, going to the arcade and playing with Barbies. My daughter is confident in our relationship. Recently, my dad said he no longer wanted to play horses with her, and she responded, "Fine, I know dad will always play with me. I absolutely have not, and never will neglect or mistreat my child." This is a huge exaggeration because I was more concerned about my wife than my daughter going to an aviary. She's 5 and very smart. She knows that hospitals and ambulances are for people who are very sick. She completely understood that my wife wasn't feeling well, and even said I needed to get her tummy medicine so we could keep going. I didn't say, "We are leaving," cry about it. I told her we were following Mom and Grandpa to the doctor because Mom was feeling very bad and that we could come back another day. I also said that when Mom feels better, we will get her some ice cream since she didn't get to see the birds. She pouted, as all kids do. Did she see that I was more concerned about my wife? Yes, she even commented that Grandpa seemed upset. We live in a hot and humid area, and my wife went from being red and using a fan to looking pale and saying she was cold. It was scary for me. When you arrive at the hospital, you want updates. Are you okay? Is the baby okay? And your wife is annoyed that you didn't take your child to an aviary, and that's all she wants to talk about, even though she's pouting. It hurts. Another user asks, and for someone who claims to be a good husband, why hasn't he addressed this with his wife before? If she's acting so out of character and showing strange behaviors, why hasn't he talked to her about it? OOP replies, "Do you think I haven't tried talking to her about this? Every time I bring it up, I'm shut down. I lost my temper after pleading with her for the 100th time. This didn't come out of nowhere. I've literally knelt in front of her, asking why she's doing this, if there's a reason, what her therapist says, and if she wants to go to therapy together. She consistently claims she doesn't understand what I'm referring to. It's the most frustrating and infuriating thing. It's so hard to watch something so important slip away and pretend it's not happening. I regret what I said and don't expect sympathy, but my outburst didn't come from a lack of trying." Update. It's been about a month since I posted. This is a bit long because so many kind Redditors reached out, gave me advice, shared their experiences, and asked for an update. After I posted and thought things over for a while, and after having a couple of drinks, I called my father-in-law. He and my wife share a close bond and I value his opinion. He's been married for a very long time, seems to have a happy marriage, and has good relationships with his family. I didn't go into detail about the issues we were having, but he knew there were problems since he was staying at my house while I was in an Airbnb. He has a more traditional view of marriage and at one point asked what I had to lose by pushing her to talk. I said I was afraid it would push her further away, and he pretty much told me that I was already living in a separate house from my pregnant wife, worried about a potential divorce, so what did I have to lose? He advised me to be a man and go back to my house and lay it all out. I informed him that I would visit the following day. They asked if they could take Lily to buy some sparklers for the upcoming holiday and spend the night at their house. I agreed, and when I went to my house the next day, I arrived with flowers and ingredients to make dinner. My wife asked what I was doing there, and I replied that I lived there and wanted to sit down and talk. I offered a lengthy apology for my actions and words. Afterwards, I said it was her turn to explain what was happening. She tried to claim nothing was wrong, that everything was fine. After a while, I said my heart is broken, that we've been through tough times together, fought for each other, and now you're sitting here lying to my face. We sat together and she cried for about 30 minutes before finally admitting she feared our relationship would end if she was honest. I told her I would listen, no matter what. She admitted it was hard that this would be her first child and not mine. She didn't think it would bother her, but it started to once she was pregnant. She would lie in bed at night thinking if my ex had wanted to raise Lily, we would still be a family, and she wouldn't matter. She expressed that seeing me emotional about our baby, wanting to touch her belly, or being affectionate made her think of me and my ex, and how I had already done all the things she was excited to do with me. Early in her pregnancy, she confided to a close friend about her excitement to have a baby with her soulmate. The friend replied that soulmates don't have other children or previous partners, implying it should be just the two of them. She was deeply upset and questioned whether I believed we were soulmates as she did. She described herself and our unborn child as my second choice family, that no one dreams of having kids with different people. She felt she was merely a replacement when the family I wanted didn't materialize. She also shared that she had found some old images of my ex on social media and couldn't stop comparing her pregnant body. She feared the baby wouldn't be equal to Lily in my eyes. She was concerned when I asked about what she thought the baby would be like, worrying about potential disabilities, differing interests from family activities, or conflicts between the baby and Lily. At one point, she admitted wishing I had never had Lily to reduce her worries, realizing then that she needed to put in extra effort to maintain her relationship with Lily. She feared that, between work and Lily, I wouldn't have time and wouldn't bond with the baby, like in the articles she read online where fathers didn't bond with their children until they could join in family activities. When I tried to connect with the baby, she became anxious that the baby wouldn't measure up to Lily. I've always been open about how much being a father means to me, and how raising Lily has been the greatest joy of my life, alongside marrying my wife and now expecting our child together. She mentioned that this was initially why she felt sure about marrying me, and was eager to have a big family with me. However, now she constantly worries if her pregnancy and this baby will be a joy or a burden for me, because the stress is the same, but the excitement isn't. And what if a newborn and later a toddler won't be as interesting to me as Lily, who can already do activities? She showed me countless articles where different men explained they didn't bond with their children until they were 4 or more years old. She also showed me videos where people talk about the things they did with their first child, and then became more relaxed, as they had more children. She said it frightened her, because it seemed like people cared less the more children they had. She told me that there were times when she felt like she was ruining our family and coming between me and Lily. For instance, she mentioned crying during the trip to the hospital while we were at the zoo. She was scared that Lily would dislike her and resent the baby for cutting our zoo visit short, and that I would be upset about spending my time off work at the hospital instead of doing the activities we had planned with Lily. While I work, Lily and my wife spend a lot of time outside, at the library, and at local parks. One of their favorite activities is biking together, and we also bike together on weekends. We have many local trails, but due to her pregnancy, she hasn't been able to bike. We've been doing more indoor activities instead. My wife said that when I'm at work, Lily keeps saying she hates her because she doesn't get to ride her new bike as often anymore. I told her I would talk to Lily about it because that's not acceptable. My wife asked me not to since there would be so many changes soon for Lily, and it hurt her because she missed biking together as well. A couple of months ago, my wife asked me and Lily if we wanted to read stories together. Lily chose the first story I read, and my wife chose the second story for me to read to the baby and Lily because it helps with brain development and bonding. After that, I read another book of Lily's choosing. While I was at work the next day, Lily tore the pages out of the book my wife had chosen. She said she was going to tell me, but her friend, the same friend who says we aren't soulmates, told her I would think she was making it up and that it seemed like she was trying to come between me and Lily. I inquired why she hadn't shared this with me, and she clarified that she felt uncomfortable doing so because her thoughts seemed confusing to her. She wanted me to spend time with Lily so she wouldn't feel left out or jealous, and when I did, she felt upset that I wasn't spending more time with her. She loves Lily but wishes we had our first child together. She wants me around but also feels upset and guilty when I give our unborn baby attention. She said she was afraid that I would think she was trying to come between me and Lily when she wasn't. By the time I noticed something was seriously wrong and suggested therapy or other help, she admitted knowing she was behaving poorly but was reluctant to acknowledge how much she missed with me. She doubled down because it was hard to face that she made her fears a reality by pushing me away and not letting me care, and that she couldn't start over, and that her first pregnancy was a somewhat bad experience because of her own actions. At this point, I realized how badly I had behaved. I apologized for making her feel like she couldn't come to me about anything. She said that when she researched her feelings, she found many forums where people were calling the poster terrible for their feelings about their stepchild and feared I would feel the same. She said if I had told her I felt about Lily the way she felt about Lily, it would make her angry and upset, so she couldn't see how I wouldn't be. We both cried for a long time. I tried to comfort her. I told her how much I loved her, how excited I was that she was the family I chose, and my soulmate, and that the universe knew that Lily and I needed her, which is why things worked out for us to be a family. She apologized for her treatment of me and expressed a desire to correct her actions. She said she had wanted to apologize when I was beginning to have my breakdown but was shocked when I yelled and realized she might have messed up beyond repair to get that reaction from me. We kept crying for a very long time, and she asked if I wanted to feel the baby move. I said yes, and we cried even more. It turned out to be a wonderful evening. I cooked dinner for us, and we laughed about how stressed I was that I went to Reddit for advice. She wished to read the post and cried once more after doing so. I assured her that we could move past this, and she said she felt less awful as she read some of the comments from women in similar situations. The first week was a bit awkward, after so many months of tension. I knew things were improving when she woke me up by whispering, "Baby wants blueberry pancakes that Saturday." I don't think I've ever made pancakes so fast. I couldn't stop smiling. A few days later, we went to a pool party, and she let me choose her swimsuit. This was a big deal since she usually wore loose clothes around me. We took family pictures, and I felt like the universe was on my side because, on the way home, she asked me to feel her belly, and our baby was hiccuping. It was something I had never felt before, and it was a first that we could share together. She even lets me help her when she is not feeling well without making an excuse about Lily. I've learned that when she comes to me, turns her back, and lifts her arm, it's my cue to lift her belly up. Now, I spend a lot of time rubbing and talking to her belly, and massaging her feet, legs, back, shoulders, and hips. The first 500 times, it brought me to tears. It has been such a relief to be involved. I never thought being asked to get the most random food items at 2 in the morning would be enjoyable, but it is. It still hurts that I missed out on a lot. I think it's tough for her too. She gets emotional and says that a weight has been lifted off her and that things are so much easier now, but she is upset that she didn't talk to me sooner. I have been working to ease some of my wife's guilt. I realized there were a lot of simple solutions. For example, I went to a local bike shop and got a pull-behind trailer. Now, I pull her in that, and she can use a small fan and ice packs, and Lily can ride her bike. I have taken time off work so I can spend more time with both of them. We are all in therapy, and thankfully Lily's therapist keeps saying that she is securely attached to both of us, enjoys the time we spend together, is coping very well, and is excited to be a big sister. My wife was terrified that maybe Lily could sense her change in attitude, but her therapist says that Lily only has one complaint about my wife, that she forgot her candy once, and then it took 32 whole minutes for the store to deliver it. My wife is in therapy, addressing and working through her negative emotions. That's pretty much where we are now. We are getting very close to the baby's arrival and working hard to finish getting everything ready. My wife still needs reassurance. There are many times she brings up my ex, and I found that mentioning our firsts helps. For example, she'll ask about certain things and how it was for me. I'll indicate that I prefer not to discuss that topic and redirect the conversation to us. Do you remember our first house, our first vacation, our first kiss, our first date? Remember that time? It makes me fall more in love with you. It hurts me that my wife suffered for so long. I believe that saying it out loud took away a lot of the power those feelings had over her. I think most people know how terrible it feels when you have thoughts that don't seem like your own when you're going through a mentally challenging time. I really should have supported our relationship and her mental health much sooner. I allowed her to push me away for far too long when I should have realized she needed help. I appreciate everyone who reached out or offered advice. I shared this in detail with my wife's consent. She hopes that it helps someone out there struggling with the same feelings she experienced. It's heartbreaking to see how much pain and confusion both of you have endured during this pregnancy. Misunderstandings and unspoken feelings have caused so much tension. It's clear you both love each other deeply, but the stress and insecurities have taken a toll on your relationship. Despite all the heartache, it's so hopeful to see you both working towards understanding and reconciliation. The way you've both opened up and started addressing the real issues gives me faith that you'll come through this stronger. I'm rooting for you both to find your way back to each other and embrace the happiness that's waiting for your growing family.